Welcome to another episode of So You Want to Read. Our genre of the week is graphic novels. Graphic novel is not so much a genre, but a format. Like comic books, graphic novels use sequential art to tell a story. Sometimes they tell a single continuous narrative from the first page to the last. Sometimes they are collections of shorter stories or individual comic strips. Graphic novels can be fiction. They might be science fiction, fantasy, historical fiction, or horror. You might see something called manga, which is a Japanese style of comic book. Often, classic novels are remade into graphic novels, such as 1984 by George Orwell. The same goes for other popular titles such as Dune by Frank Herbert and The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. If you enjoy TV shows like The Walking Dead or The Umbrella Academy, you may be surprised to learn that these were both based on comic books. Graphic novels can also be nonfiction. This might look like informational books, historical books, or personal narratives. In our collection, we have a whole section dedicated to graphic memoirs and biographies. When reading graphic novels, remember to start reading in the upper left-hand corner of the page. Then, read across the row from left to right before proceeding down to the next row and the next until you finish the page. Keep an eye out for thought bubbles, speech balloons, and caption boxes. If you come across something called a trade paperback or an omnibus, don't panic. Trade paperbacks usually contain a collection of stories within a series. So rather than checking out the individual comic books in a series, you might be able to check out numbers 1 through 5 all in a single volume. An omnibus is a collection of these trade paperbacks. These are usually larger editions that might contain the entire run of a series. If you're brand new to the graphic novel format and you're interested in nonfiction, I'd recommend trying out Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. Persepolis is a modern classic in the world of graphic novels. Published in 2003, it is an autobiographical account of a young girl's life in Tehran during the Islamic Revolution. For a more approachable graphic novel, try The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. This is on the shorter side at 128 pages and tells the story of 4 unlikely friends. Highly relatable and thought-provoking, this is a book for all ages that explores life's universal lessons. For something a little different, try Preludes and Nocturnes by Neil Gaiman. This is a trade paperback that collects issues 1 through 8 of the Sandman series, which is a fantastical story about the forces that exist beyond life and death. If you like ancient mythology, folklore, and fairy tales, then give this a try. Something to keep in mind about this format is that when referring to a graphic novel, it simply means that the story is told in images. It does not mean that the material contains sensitive imagery, violence, or explicit content. While many graphic novels do contain adult themes and mature content, it is certainly not a requirement of the genre. Use your own judgment when selecting materials. I really hope you try out the graphic novel format if you haven't already. You never know, you just might love it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Feel free to contact the Fiction Desk with any questions or requests.